Another nice thing to get is I'll back up a little bit, this grooming table. It's pretty nice. It comes, you get a stand with it, and you can do this all by yourself. You don't need to have anybody hold. So Carla's going to just do a little bit of the neck area. Again, this doesn't seem to be as affected by the blade as, let me get on this side. She's just going to do under the eye, back to the edge of the ear, and that's all good hair.
And it needs to be cleared, so cheatgrass in it.
Yeah, keep the cheatgrass out. We want to get all that hair off of there. It's just a small area. And then you can maintain it. Once you shave it, then you can maintain it with a stripper comb.
Or even
and this is not something you can just usually do all in one sitting. You might work a little bit on it, give the dog a break. Maybe work on the head one day, give the dog a break on the other. And so she's just going to get some of this longer hair off around the neck. And then she's going to just shave right under the eye from the beard back to the ear and under the eye. And some of this longer hair that's going to collect cheatgrass and suck it right down the ear canal. The longer haired dogs are the ones that suffer the worst with that.
I'm going to do this for finish here too.
See, already she just looks so much better. Her eyebrows are a little too long for what you really want. The eyebrows, you know, in the wire hair is there to protect their eyes originally, but it also, I think, restricts a little bit of vision if it's a little long. Some dogs have short beards and eyebrows. Comes in various lengths. I like to trim the eyebrows down a little bit.
I don't want to do too. You'll make it look too ugly or too. Man, they'd have heart failure.
Yeah. And you want to be careful. You don't want to. We're just pulling off dead hair. We're not trying to sculpture the dog any differently. Just. Again, I don't like pulling that hair under the eye when it's that long. Some dogs have very little, some have none. It's just straight short hair. Okay, she's just going to clean up the ears a little bit with the scissors there, some of the longer hairs. Just kind of cleaning it up, and then we trim around the ears. Be careful, because I have cut their ears a few times and they remember when you do that. It just gives it a little, I get rid of all that extra fringe that's tidies them up a little bit and keeps the cheatgrass there, any seeds off it, cockle burrs and everything else from collecting. A lot of dogs do like the grooming table. They like the attention, and they will jump up here. They like the attention. She's already looking so much better. And I thin out the beard often because they just don't need all that hair, and it's just going to make mats and gnat. And when you get stickers in there, then pretty soon they have pretty big lumps in there. And I thin down their beard a lot. They don't need to have a big fluffy beard. And then you can cut off some of the length of the beard with some scissors so it's not super long, and we cut it at an angle, so we go from at an angle like that so it's tapered up towards their head. It really isn't that important that you remember to do that way. The important thing is that they don't need to have super long beards. And you know what it's like for them to drink water from a bowl or toilet and carry it throughout the house. So sometimes shortening their beard is not a bad thing. It is characteristic of the breed and defines the breed, so nothing's more displeasing to see somebody cut the beard off. We spend a lot of time breeding to get that beard on these dogs. So now she's working on the eyebrows. And she's just going to take a little length of the eyebrows off to shorten them up just a little bit. And sometimes I use thinners so they don't look so sharply blunt. And often what I do is I use thinners a lot as scissors, and I just have to go and work them back and forth an awful lot. She's just kind of basically getting it down to the length we want it, and then she's kind of just plucking it through there, thinning it out, making it look more natural, and just shortening them up so it's easier for the dog to see, and just less debris, stickers, seeds getting in. Now Jags would take a number of attempts to get this cleaned up. You know, she can sit on the table here for an hour plucking away, and then but once you do it, you're good once you get them completely groomed, you're good to the next season. She might need a little cleaning up before hunting season. This is July 1st right now, so this will get her through the summer months. She might have a little dead coat on her in the fall. I like to thin that out. But most of my coat removal and thinning down is in the spring, just to get rid of that dead hair. That dead hair, if you don't pull it out, it'll slowly come out, and you'll find it's easier in your household not to have all that hair coming off. You pull it all out. They're not continual shedders like some breeds. Shorter coated breeds, even short hairs will shed for weeks on end. This kind of speeds up the process of pulling out the dead coat, and then you have less hair floating around in your house. Right now she looks a little brushy, but once she pulls this out and then combs it back into place, it's going to look more, it'll make sense to you. We pull it forward and then we trim it back. Some dogs you don't have to touch the eyebrows at all, and some you do need a little bit of trimming, and some wear it off. And when you're hunting in heavy vegetation, I've had dogs actually go right down to the bare skin and have, fighting the blackberries and such. It's can be tough around their eye area, and it is there to protect their eyes, so you do want to leave some there. And she's switching back and forth between different blade. That's a smaller blade to bigger blades, depending on how much hair. The Mars comb is really good for in the beginning of, if you have a lot of coat, and I actually did use it on her. What's that?
Hunting.
Hunting.
Yeah.
It's a good thing to take hunting. You'll get out a lot of the stickers. You can get them online. They're about $40. They last forever. And I used it on her when I had gotten her home a few days back, and I just raked it through her body and pulled out a lot of coat, and now we're down to this lower coat where doesn't take as long to pluck out. You want to be careful with those Mars, because you can end up taking more coat than you want to, and you can make bald spots. You can make bald spots with this pumice stone too. If you go over and over like she's doing the ear for too long continuously, you will make a bloody spot.
Sandpaper.
What's that?
It's like sandpaper.
It's like sandpaper, exactly. But it's really great for the fine work of cleaning up and finishing up. Some breeders like to have a lot of coat on their dog so they can remove coat where they want to and leave where they want to hide flaws. But really ideally it's hard to get a short, tight coat on all dogs. So many wire hairs and good wire hairs are gonna have this little extra coat than others, and so you're gonna want to really keep it back. And if you keep at it from time to time, it's so much easier to maintain than letting it go for a full year. And as spring comes on and the weather warms up, you can start stripping out a little at a time. You don't have to do it all at once. You just start taking some of that out. So it's something you have to do at one stripping session. And maybe we can show on that other, when we get back to her body, these other kind of combs right here that it's just another style of stripping comb. And often what happens when you know you're out of dead hair, you can comb it and nothing comes out until you start to pluck it. Then a lot will come out. But if you just try to use it as a comb, you'll find, at the beginning you'll feel a lot of coat come out. But after you've run it through a bunch of times, that's like this, is nothing coming out. But if you use it and you pluck it, then a lot more of the coat is going to come, and you're getting more of the top coat. And you can take big chunks out. I mean, when the coat's ready to be pulled out, stripped out, it comes out in some pretty big wads and chunks, and you can have a little, 12-inch tall pile of dead hair on this table here with what you can pull out. And sometimes it doesn't take much at all to really start to see a difference, and I can already start to see some big difference in her and how she's looking. This is all hair that would end up on your sofa, on your carpet, so you might as well just get it out. And another problem is under the tail. I've already taken a lot of hair off under her tail, and then you do want to sit down. I'll try to hold her up while you do this. We hold the tail up and then cut all that long hair under, and she had a lot, and I couldn't stand it. I had to take it off, and I didn't wait for the video because it's my little pet peeve. I hate to see a lot of hair under the tail.
Just dirty.
It's dirty, and it doesn't define their point as well. And you can go ahead and cut some of this off. It's not hair that you really want to pull. Some people might even shave it. I use sometimes thinners, which are these scissors right here that will help thin that down, and you don't have such blunt cutting. And it looks a little more natural. She actually had hair that hung down, a big fringe. It must have hung down an inch and a half, and I just whacked it off
Like a collie dog.
like a collie dog. And all of the hair on the tail that is underneath that you end up having to remove. You do want to thin that out on the top, but it's not near as much as what you find that hangs down. It's kind of like the feathering that you see on the legs right here. That's the stuff that goes underneath the tail. Some dogs have it, some don't. Wire hairs have varying degree. I think the standard says they can have between 1 to 2 inches of coat, but ideally you want it laying flat, and ideally you want to get it down to the inch length. See how she can just kind of grab some of that longer coat right there and strip it out, and she again grabs that between her thumb and the blade, and you can get more, because combing it at this point isn't taking enough coat out anymore. It's taking all it can out that way. You can have a dog that has a really good coat. It's just a longer coat. And then oftentimes this breed can have really good body coats and then softer hair on their legs. Jag's got a little bit softer hair on her legs. You keep it short, you don't have problems.
What would you like more on this?
Yeah, and this is just something, just to give you an idea. She's a little ways yet to be a final product. It's just gonna take time, and sometimes if you give them a bath, it fluffs up their hair a little more, and then you can grab more hair and pull it out. But their coats are meant to be stripped, not shaven. And there's a lot of breeds that are that way that people don't realize. A lot of the terriers are that way, where you strip their coats out. What other breeds do you strip coats?
Any wire hair, you know.
Any wire hair type of coat.
So,
So that kind of gives you, and then some dogs, and it's not the case of Jag, but some dogs can have a lot of undercoat here underneath their body, and I'll trim this down. This isn't too bad, but if it gets too long, then it's going to get into cockleburrs. Where you really have to watch is under the armpits, that you don't have a lot of long hair there that's going to catch cockleburrs. This coat is actually not a bad coat. I would like to see a little bit coarser hair on her legs. Her body coat, unfortunately you can't tell in the camera because it's nothing like feeling to understand it, but it has a real wiry texture, and see, you can get it to stand up like that. That's got a lot of crunchy feel. I don't know how do you describe a wire coat. It's just wiry. It's not smooth and feeling like it's stiff. That's a good word. But when I got her back, her hair was probably this long. That was all dead coat on her. It came out in big clumps. This is the new coat coming in. That's why not a lot's coming out, but it gives you an idea what we try to strive to get down to. And it's just a matter of just going back and plucking here and there and getting some of that last stuff up, but already her head looks more representative of the breed. A lot of dogs are groomed, and it's not natural. Some dogs are naturally slick heads. Some of them have more hair. Clean hair. The standard allows for more hair. It doesn't have to be slick head by any means. But sometimes some dogs are so soft coated that when you're doing what she's doing, you're going to make a big bald spot because it's thin. Her coat is dense on top, so you can see that it's actually got a wiry feel on top of her head too. But if some dogs that have really thin hair or soft coats, you could pluck them right down to their scalp and their skin, and create some big holes in the coat.